Well, it's obviously a pretty devastating blow for people who are struggling to cover the costs of their energy bills. I mean, up to 9.7% is an increase in New South Wales off the back of, successive increases in the cost of living for people is really tough. We're very worried about the impacts it'll have, particularly for people on low and modest incomes, and we need a comprehensive package of reforms now to make sure that we are taking very seriously both the important transition to renewables and also the impact of people who are now facing, in some cases, really dramatic further increases in their energy bills. Just
on the impact of those more vulnerable in the community, we heard there from the regulator saying, they're advising people to shop around. Is that enough?
No, it's not enough. I mean, very clearly there are some big changes to the environment that is in the hands of governments to implement. Look, under the previous Albanese government first term, we got a big investment in home energy upgrades for low-income housing, but that would only get us about 25% of social housing covered. So we want to see further investment to upgrade low-income housing so it's really energy efficient, solar panels, etc. Secondly, we need to fix the adequacy of social security. JobSeeker is still just $56 per day. There's no way that somebody on JobSeeker now is going to be able to cover the cost of these energy bills going up further. And writing off energy debt that is accumulated for very low income people across the country, that's got to be a top priority. And we do think it's time to look at the default market offer regulation itself. At the moment, it's permitted to assess that by reference to what's reasonable by reference to the market. But this is really meant to be a safety net, and we're calling for a review of the regulation of the DMO itself because the result today is really devastating for people.
Well, we did hear just ahead of this interview with you, Cass, that the Australian Energy Regulator has found that the sustained pressures across almost all components of the DMO have driven these rises, whether it be wholesale networking costs, the cost of making electricity is more expensive, and we just heard the Chair saying, some of these coal plants are less reliable. Are they justified?
Look, there's obviously big drivers in the energy system that are leading to this kind of increase, but energy companies are still making profits, aren't they? And so we've got to make sure we get the balance right here between what has been assessed by the current regulation, which is reasonable, that's the test. We say, let's look at it about efficient and make sure that we're properly putting at the top of the list the impact on people of these energy increases, and particularly people on low and modest incomes. I mean, this is a really big hit again to people. The government has excellent advice, including from ourselves, about what's needed. Upgrade housing to make sure it's really performing well, particularly for low-income people. Fix the adequacy of incomes for people themselves, particularly JobSeeker and youth allowance. Write off those energy debts. And really importantly, we think it's time to look at the regulation itself in terms of setting this default market offer.
We know that there is a national energy bill relief for households and small businesses. I think up to $300 for small businesses, $325 for other eligibles, households $300, businesses $325. Is that going to go some way to ease the pain?
Look, Catherine, we've never supported these one-off energy rebates that go to everybody right up the income scale. It's been very expensive. We've spent over $6 billion on them so far. And for people on the lowest incomes, they are paying 5 times the amount on their energy bills by reference to their income as really high-income people. And so it was poorly targeted, and we haven't got any long-term benefits out of it. We could have spent that money on upgrading housing for low-income people and doing some of the big system changes that are needed, because if you upgrade a house properly in terms of energy performance, you can save about $3,500 per year on your energy use because it's performing well.